What's up, everybody? This is Nick DiMartino from Review and Preview, bringing you the latest in NBA free agency. I love NBA free agency. I love NBA free agency because I like NBA free agency in a sense more than the regular season, because the regular season doesn't tell you anything. You get these regular season games that don't mean anything. Players don't try. They're on the road. You don't want to, they're maybe jet lagged. It doesn't tell you much. But I think that the ultimate truth serum of players' value is NBA free agency. Part of the reason it's so great. How much money teams are willing to pay for a guy tells you a lot more about that player than the regular season does. Part of the reason I love NBA free agency so much. And I think this James Harden contract, along with the other contracts that have, if you juxtapose that with the other contracts, I think it's very telling about James Harden's value. You look at a team like the Phoenix Suns, who just paid Devin Booker a supermax, who just gave Devin Booker a supermax deal. And then you look at a team like the Sixers, who they gave up so much for James Harden, and now they're only willing to give him a 2-year, $68 million deal. First of all, I was a little bit surprised a few weeks ago when James Harden didn't take the $47 million player option. I'm surprised he didn't do that. James Harden historically has been the type of guy who would say, you know what, I'm worth $47 million. I want to get $47 million. He hasn't always taken player options, but based on his character, it seemed to me like it would be more that would be more likely of what James Harden would do. But the $68 million deal, 2-year, $68 million deal, all of it guaranteed, by the way, for James Harden, I think it's a very good deal for the Sixers because they're not spending too much money per year. I mean, $32 million, like I said before, it goes to show you how much his value has dropped. I mean, a 2-year, $68 million deal, I mean, just 3 years ago, there is no way that would have happened. There's no way. I mean, he was worth way more than that at the time. But now a 2-year, $68 million deal for James Harden for the Sixers is a great move because think about it. At some point, like imagine if they gave him a 5-year deal worth the same amount of money per year. At some point, it's very likely that he's gonna want out, or there's gonna be some sort of drama, and it would just be a disaster. But for the Sixers, they're only locked in for 2 years. $32 million a year. So he's getting paid less than he was before and in his previous contracts, and they're only in for 2 years. So what it seems to me like the Sixers are trying to do is they're trying to squeeze out of Harden what they can do because they gave up so much just to get him, and they want to do what they can to build potentially a championship team. I don't necessarily think it's going to work, but it seems to me like they're just trying to squeeze out all that they can from James Harden in just a couple of years, which is smart because otherwise they would have done it all for nothing to get Harden. And so you got to do what you can to keep him happy. And just for a couple of years, see what you can do just to squeeze what you can out of him and maybe get a championship team out of this. They also signed PJ Tucker to a 3-year, $33 million deal. And I really do think that this is directly related to James Harden because it seems to me like they just signed James Harden to a 2-year deal and they want to do what they can to keep him happy. James Harden didn't take a pay cut for nothing. Like he could have taken $47 million for this year. That's $15 million less. So, you know, they're like, okay, so if he's going to take $32 million instead of $47 million, we have to do what we can to keep him happy. And that's what it looked like when they took PJ Tucker. Now, I'm not saying PJ Tucker in general is really, I mean, he's a good role player. He's not a superstar, but he's a good role player. It doesn't make you a championship caliber team, but these two signings are directly related. Like, I think that after they really just signed PJ Tucker to keep James Harden because they know that he probably wants to play with PJ Tucker. He's a former teammate when they played on the Rockets, and he's also a pretty solid player. He was on the Bucks championship team. So, you know, I think this is overall, I can't believe I'm saying this because the Sixers historically have been such a poorly run organization. But it seems to me like this is actually a pretty smart move for the Sixers and a pretty smart move for Harden, too, quite frankly. I mean, like, like I said, he's going to want out of Philadelphia. He's always unhappy. He seems to be frequently unhappy with wherever he is. So he's only in for 2 years. So this is a really good deal for the Sixers.